Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I am delighted to have a special guest in the studio with me, and that is Mr. Chris Dudley. Now, you probably have heard that name before, but he is a Oregon businessman, former NBA player. If I had him stand up right now, all the lights would go out in this place. He's a longtime civic leader, a Yale University graduate, spent 16 seasons in the National Basketball Association, including multiple seasons with, yes, the Portland Trail Blazers. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
He is running for governor on the Republican ticket, and he's certainly no stranger to this. You did it quite a few years ago.
Yes.
Came pretty close.
Yeah, it came real close. It was the closest election in the last 70 years, and to use the sports analogy, we lost in double overtime. We thought we had it won on Tuesday and lost on Thursday.
Oh, I see. So the buzzer went off and the ball didn't go in.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So why are you doing it again? 16 years later, the State's... how's the comparison from then to now?
Well, it's one of those where you don't want to say I told you so, and you don't really want to be right, but yeah. I'd said we were heading down the wrong track, wrong path at that time, and here we are, where we're ranked 50th in education for fourth grade testing, 47th for job creation, 46th for a place to do business, #1 in addiction and mental illness, and you get the picture. It's not going well, and my kids... Our kids are 6th-generation Oregonians. Eventually, we want to have 7th-generation Oregonians, and I want them to have a place that they want to stay and are able to stay.
All right, so you're traveling the state. I get it. We've done that. You know, Jason's done that. We've got the dirty T-shirts and the scars. Yeah. But so, what are you hearing? What are you hearing? What's coming out as being #1?
Well, you know, the two themes overall that I'm hearing is one of the love of state, and you love just a beautiful state. So much that we have going for us here. Mm-hmm. 2 is that present system's not working, that we can do so much better. And the areas I'm focused on are the education, economy, livability, which includes affordability and safety. Okay,
so let's take education. You quoted some figures there. It's very embarrassing, and it's getting worse, and yet the answer is always more money. What would you do to fix it?
Well, first of all, it's not just more money, because education spend has gone up by 80% in the last 10 years, yet our results have gotten worse. Yeah. We have to focus on the way we're teaching. The good news in this, and I mentioned being 50th in literacy for fourth graders, is that Mississippi was an example here. They call it the Mississippi Miracle, went from 47th to 1st in reading, and it was basically focused on the science of reading. Basically get back to the fundamentals, to basics, and we have to do that. And there's a number of areas in education where we have to increase accountability. We also have to work on the amount of time in school. We have one of the shortest school years in the country, highest rate of absentee rate. There's absenteeism. There's a number of things that we have to do for education.
A lot of people are concerned about just the overall curriculum in public schools, especially in the state of Oregon. As you know, we're plagued with all this other social stuff. Yep. How do you get that out?
Well, I think we've got to get back to focusing on what the role is of public schools, is teaching our kids how to read, write, and do the fundamentals. And we need to get back to that and focus in those areas, and we have to do so right away. Personally, as governor, I was declare a state of emergency in education on day 1. I believe when you're ranked 50th, dead last in the country, that is a state of emergency. When 40% of our high school graduates need remedial classes when they go to community college, that is a state of emergency, and we have to focus. Get back to the basics.
All right, you used the term, it's been coined out there, that the big term of the world is now affordability and livability. Yes. Those 2 words are the biggies out there. And how do we make Oregon livable and affordable?
Well, affordability is a big issue. Over half our state is currently living month to month. And I remember that as a child, living with my mom. Car breaks down. How are we going to get cut back? What do you do? And the stress that goes along with that. So I think there's a couple things that we're focused on. One is I'm focused on the tax rate. We have the highest income tax rate in the country for people making $100,000, actually to $150,000 and less. I want to reduce the income tax rate on the first $100,000 of earned income to give immediate relief. Also, we have to focus on housing. We have to focus on the availability of land and streamlining and making more efficient our permitting process, because now, because of the prices of land, because of the prices of permitting and the time it takes, developers are saying that, but before they even break ground, the cost is already above what the median household can afford. So we have to address that as quickly as possible.
What about inheritance tax and capital gains? What would you do?
Inheritance, I'd like to get rid of the inheritance tax. I think ethically it doesn't. We have the worst inheritance tax in the country. We have the lowest threshold at $1 million. I don't think ethically it makes sense. I don't think you should pay more tax because you die in one state versus another. But I also don't think fiscally it makes sense. And by that I mean I'm talking to more people when we've literally driven close to 6,000 miles over the last couple of weeks across our state. People are leaving, especially when they retire, to avoid that tax because they want to be able to pass it on to the next generation. And so from a state perspective, the state is losing that the personal income tax, capital gains tax that person might be would be earning, but instead when they leave at age, I don't know, 65 or 70, and then they live for another 15, 20, 25 years, we lose that income that whole time. So fiscally, I don't think it makes sense for our state either.
All right, so I ask all the candidates this, and I'm going to ask you to make a pledge, but I will respect you if you don't want to do it, okay?
Yeah.
And that is, will you sponsor a bill that freezes the property tax on a senior at the age of 65?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, and if they sell that home wherever they're living at the age of 65, that property tax gets frozen because more and more people are losing their home. Seniors are on fixed income because of these raising property tax. Why can't we freeze it for the senior at 65?
I'd love to do that, and it's been done in other states, and it's something that I'm definitely looking at. So yeah, I'll make the commitment that I'd love to push that forward. The last thing we ever want to have happen is a senior on a fixed income being forced out.
Well, it's happening.
I know it is.
When you dive into the homeless thing, you're going to see those numbers. They're there. Right down the street here is, senior housing for people that can't afford their homes anymore.
Yeah, and I am very concerned about it. As you know, we've gone away from a pension system in our country where more people are now on just Social Security, and you getting priced out, and it's a big problem, big component of the homeless situation.
All right, the other bone I have.
All right.
Small business. Most of these legislators, I know I say this respectfully, they've never made a payroll. They don't know what it is to run a business under the obligations and the rules and the regulations they place on other people. If we lose a lithium motor in Southern Oregon or a Nike up there or the Columbia Sports, that's going to open the floodgate, and they're going to leave like they're leaving California. What would you do as governor to make this a business-friendly state?
Well, and there's a couple things. I'm glad you brought that up. Is a couple things. One is, first of all, that communication is so important, to work with businesses, to cooperate with businesses. I literally was just talking with a friend of mine who used to be the CEO of Dutch Brothers, and I'm not speaking out of school because he said this publicly. He said the governor's office called him about 5 weeks. Basically, the trucks were getting loaded up before they left, and said, "What can we do?" And he said, "Well, you could have reached out 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ago."
Yeah.
And we need to do that. We need to have that communication. I can say, as governor, with the power of the pen, that I can look business in the eye and say, I will not allow something that is detrimental to your business cross my desk. The first step is to do no more harm, because every session we're worried about what's coming out. The other part, another power as governor that I would have, is the power of appointment. And in Oregon, there's close to 300 boards and commissions, agency heads, judges, and not one person on any of those boards or commissions has been appointed by a Republican governor. Not one. And so we need to restore some balance to the state and have people on those boards, commissions, agencies that, as you said, actually have sat on the other side, on the receiving end of those regulations. We need to have regulation, but they need to be streamlined, they need to make sense, and not keep battling against business.
Anything out there that you know of off the top of your head that we could deregulate to make business friendly here?
Oh, there's a myriad of, I hear them from all different areas. The biggest one is how long it takes to get through the process, and how often. I was just in Redmond talking with the developer. He said what used to take 18 days to get approved now takes a year and a half. And part of the problem is we haven't had a governor with a business background or understands business in the past 40 years, and understand that when you delay a project like that, it adds to the cost.
One of the biggest legislative blunders happened this past session when they tried to fix an ODOT problem of $350 million, and they fixed it with a $4.3 billion tax hike, which was preceded by the possibility of a $15 billion tax hike. It whittled it down to 4.3. I guess that's the savings, but when they're only trying to fix $350 million. Couple of problems here. The citizens stepped in. Citizen referendum is going to be on the ballot. Hallelujah. Okay. Number one, do you think it'll pass in May?
I think the gas tax will be voted down.
Okay. Number two, why hasn't audit ever been done on ODOT?
That's a great question. And it needs to be done. I know when Dennis Richardson was Secretary of State, he was pushing for audits, and he was a great man. That's the first thing I would do. Is you have to have transparency. As you know, with business, you have to know where the dollars are going, what's the return on those dollars, are they being productive, and we need to do a complete audit, complete rehaul.
So is ODOT sitting out there without the 350? Do you know?
They're moving, they're shuffling it around, and that's again.
I mean, because they always did it on, people are going to get laid off. They always go to the people thing. But well, it sounds like to me it's poor management.
Well, yes, and even worse than that, and I find this offensive, where the governor didn't reach out to the other side. It used to be that transportation packages were bipartisan, but there was no communication, nothing done. Then she delayed signing her own bill, tried to repeal it, all these different things, and the one that really bothered me was when they basically said the roads won't get plowed. Yeah. So instead of saying, hey, we're going to slow down on the project over here for the cost saving, we're going to put people's lives at risk. That's not a way to.
Well, they always do that.
Yeah, it's just absolutely.
Democrats self-fear very well. They get an A in that.
It's absolutely the wrong way to lead.
Okay, so you're governor. First day you do what?
First day, state of emergency on education. I'm pushing forth my agenda, which, as I said, is to give tax relief to working class Oregonians. And I'm looking at who we are putting in different places to lead.
Those bureaucrats that are appointed, can you dismiss them and reappoint?
It depends on the situation. Some you can, some it depends on the terms and that sort of thing.
Do you think Oregon's ripe for a Republican governor?
I do. I think it's, and again, I think it's about restoring some balance to our state. We've gotten so out of line, and one-party rule, we just have lost the checks and balances, just like we were talking about with ODOT, where there's not that accountability. I've said leadership is about empathy and accountability. You need to understand the issues, you need to empathize on those issues, but there needs to be accountability where those dollars are being spent, how they're being spent, are they being productively used or not, and it's something that we've lost, and I think Oregonians are hungry for that. And the areas that I'm running on, and you said, is Oregon ready for it? I'd say yes. I'm running on education, economy, livability. Where do you live, work, play? It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Independent, Republican. You want good schools. You want jobs available. You want your kids to be able to afford to live where they grew up. You want safe streets. Those are the things that we need to focus on and have serious solutions to what are very serious problems.
I don't think we've ever seen a crack in the concrete like we've seen it now with this blue wall.
Yeah.
Are you hearing that out there?
Yeah, I think people, as I'm traveled the state, and literally we've gone 6,000 miles across the state. Yes, I'm hearing people saying, and Democratic friends and Democrats are coming up to me and saying, we need change. It's not working right now. So I see a very big crack. And by the way, when I ran in 2010, I came that close to winning it.
Yeah.
And I had a higher vote percentage in my election than the president governor did in hers.
Right.
And she has a 65% disapproval rating. So yes, do I think there's an opportunity here? Absolutely, yes, I do.
You've quoted education, but there's another poll out there that shows among the 50 governors, she's somewhere between 48 and 50. Do you see that?
Yeah, no, I've heard that. She is not popular, and I think is very vulnerable for good reason. And it's been a lack of leadership. And I would ask you, what other job can you be last in everything you're in charge of and keep your job?
Government.
If you're in the military, you're not making it.
Government.
If you're in business, you're not making it.
Senate.
And
the House.
In sports, you're definitely not making it if you're in last place year after. So no. And so I think it's time
Okay. Good stuff. Well, let me say to our viewers and listeners, Dudley, D-U-D-L-E-Y, 4 Oregon.com. There's a picture of his landing page. That's where you go to find out more information about his campaign. Dudley, 4 Oregon.com. He's back in it. You've got, what, a month and a half, maybe a little over a month and a half to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And,
ballots drop April 29th.
Yeah. So away you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Okay.
appreciate it.
We'll be right back.